Something that really bothers me and like honestly has given me a sense of a little bit of an insecurity is the fact that, yeah, like there are all these women like throwing themselves, but me, like the past 10 years, like I don't have any of that. Like I have zero, this sounds weird, but like male attention.
Marcel.
What the is wrong with Ayesha Curry? Like, girl, you're married to a NBA all-star. And every time I see clips of her or her going viral, she's sitting up there moaning and groaning about how unhappy she is and how she thought she was going to be a career woman and how she never wanted to have kids.
Guys, something is really off with Ayesha Curry right now, and the internet can feel it in their bones. For years, she was the polished, smiling, family-first wife next to NBA superstar Steph Curry, the woman who branded herself as wholesome, modest, Christian, domestic, and unshakably loyal. Ayesha was the blueprint for the NBA wife who doesn't need the spotlight. But lately, sis is moving different. Different enough that fans, critics, psychologists, and the peanut gallery of social media all said the same thing at the same time. Is Ayesha okay? Because something ain't adding up. She looks different, talks different, acts different, posts different. And the shift is so intense that people are starting to wonder if this is a glow-up or a slow unraveling. Let's go back, way back, because trust me, everything happening now has roots in what happened then. Before the fame, before the glam, before the cookbooks and TV shows, Ayesha Alexander was a Toronto girl who wanted one thing: a career. She wanted to act, model, be on screen, and chase the Hollywood dream. That was her identity, her plan, her whole blueprint for her 20s. And then Steph Curry showed up. They met as teens at church in 2002. Cute, innocent, harmless. Steph was into her instantly. Ayesha? Not even a little bit. She thought athletes were cocky. She didn't want that life. She rejected him twice. She was focused on herself. But life has a funny way of rerouting a woman before she's finished becoming herself. She moved to LA to pursue acting, and Steph, in town for the ESPYs, hit her up again. She agreed to hang out, as friends. He tried to kiss her. She said, boy, calm down. Their chemistry grew, but her dreams didn't. Because while Steph's basketball star was rising, Ayesha's acting career stalled. No big roles, no breakthrough, no Hollywood moment. So she moved back to North Carolina. And by then, Steph was becoming Steph Curry. That's the moment her life pivoted. Not because she changed, but because she had to. Psychologists will tell you your early 20s are the most transformative years of your life. Identity, purpose, confidence, independence, everything gets built right then. Ayesha didn't get that time. She didn't get those experiences. She got married at 22, pregnant immediately, suddenly living in Steph's world, on Steph's schedule, inside Steph's spotlight. From a developmental standpoint, she went from trying to figure out who I am to being someone's wife, someone's mother, someone else's support system in the blink of an eye. And she admitted it. I didn't want kids. I didn't want to get married. I thought I was going to be career girl. I had my goals. Then everything changed. That statement right there, that is the blueprint for identity loss. Not failure, not weakness, just psychology. If you skip the phase where you build yourself, you enter the next stage without knowing who yourself even is. And that's where the cracks started forming. As Steph climbed his way into NBA superstardom, Ayesha stepped deeper into the background. She became the supportive wife, the stay-at-home mom, the Instagram chef, the good girl. The media celebrated Steph's highlight reels and championships, while Ayesha's sacrifices went unnoticed. And for a while, she played the role perfectly. But inside, she was fading. Identity diffusion, that's the clinical term, happens when you wear roles that never fully fit. When you become what people need you to be, instead of what you need to become. And Ayesha cracked the door open to that struggle during the infamous Red Table Talk moment, when she said she wanted male attention. The internet dragged her, called her ungrateful, called her insecure, but psychologically, she was revealing the truth. That was the moment we all saw it.
These women like throwing themselves, but me, like the past 10 years, like I don't have any of that. Like, I have zero, this sounds weird, but like male attention. And so then like I begin to internalize it and I'm like, is something wrong with me? Like,
Ayesha Curry didn't feel seen. Not by the world, not by herself. Back in 2015, Ayesha posted a now infamous tweet. Everyone's into barely wearing clothes these days, huh? Not my style. I like to keep the good stuff covered up for the one who matters. At the time, people thought she was just being preachy or judgmental. But psychologists call this reaction formation, when you publicly say the opposite of what you privately feel. Translation, she wasn't judging women who dressed sexy. She was jealous. She was insecure. She didn't feel beautiful. She didn't feel desired. It wasn't shade, it was projection. For a long time, Ayesha didn't want to admit she wished she felt free, sexy, confident, bold like the very women she criticized. So she wrapped insecurity in morality.
Did you always knew you wanted a big family?
No. So, I didn't want kids. I didn't want to get married. I thought I was going to be career girl and that's it.
But baby, that wouldn't last. Fast forward to 2024. Ayesha dropped 35 pounds. She got skinny, Hollywood skinny. Then suddenly, sis was showing under titty meat, ribs, hip bones, shoulders, and posing like an Instagram model in the throes of a rebrand. The same woman who said, "I keep it all covered for my husband," now out here dressed like a Fashion Nova influencer in the midlife glow-up arc. That's not hypocrisy. That's not attention-seeking. That's not a scandal. That is a woman who is trying desperately to reconnect with the version of herself she never got to be in her 20s. The confident girl, the desired girl, the visible girl. When someone loses themselves early in life, they don't crumble, they reinvent. But a reinvention without inner healing, that's where the danger comes in. Because no outfit can fix an identity wound. No weight loss can fill an emotional void. No male validation can build internal validation. Ayesha looks incredible, but the instability behind the glow-up is what has the internet saying, this isn't confidence, this is a crisis in slow motion.
But it's like, girl, you have a dream life. I personally feel like if she's not already cheating, she's going to cheat on that man. And she gives me the vibes of one of those mothers that leaves her children and the kids grow up and say, my mother walked out on us when we was whoop-de-whoop years old. Because I really don't think that she loves her life. I don't think she likes it. I feel like she's resentful of Steph because he's more successful than her. That's what it all boils down to. She's jealous of Stephon Curry and she's jealous of his success.
Fans noticed the energy change. The posing, the crop tops, the sensual angles, the thirst-trappy lighting, the captions hinting at inner turmoil, the interviews full of regret, the sudden need for visibility, the slow resentment toward domestic life. This isn't a woman who suddenly found her self-work. This is a woman who suddenly realized she never got to. Every woman has an internal timeline. When that timeline gets interrupted, the body stays where it is, but the identity stays where it was left. And Ayesha's identity? It was left in Hollywood at age 21. Her glow-up is not self-love, it's self-recovery, it's self-searching, and in some ways, it's self-destruction dressed up as empowerment. Because if you look closely at the photos, her smile doesn't reach her eyes anymore. The confidence looks forced. The poses look strained. The new persona feels like a costume rather than a transformation, and the internet can spot a woman spiraling from a mile away. Every psychologist who has weighed in said the same thing. Ayesha isn't craving attention from men. She's craving confirmation from the world that she still matters as an individual. That's called external locus of validation. It's an emotional trap that feels like hunger, and no amount of admiration will ever satisfy it. Not Steph's love, not Instagram likes, not weight loss, not new clothes, not applause, not fame, not beauty. Because nothing external can fill an internal hole. And that's the real story here. Ayesha isn't losing her mind. Ayesha is losing the version of herself she built for everyone else. And she is terrified of who she might be without that identity. Guys, when we left off, Ayesha Curry wasn't just changing her clothes or her body. She was changing her entire identity in real time. And the internet could feel the storm brewing. But what happened next pushed everything from concerning to this is starting to look like a full-on breakdown. Because when a woman reaches the point where the reflection in the mirror finally frightens her, she'll do anything to feel real again. And that's exactly where Ayesha is now. Years ago, when Ayesha said she wanted attention from other men, the internet dragged her, but they completely missed the deeper meaning. That wasn't jealousy. That wasn't insecurity. That was a warning shot, a crack in the foundation. She wasn't saying, I want other men to flirt with me. She was saying, I no longer know who I am unless someone else validates that I matter. That's not vanity. That's identity starvation. And when a woman starves emotionally for long enough, she starts feeding on the wrong things. Comparison, competition, external validation, approval, influence, beauty, image, attention. She becomes addicted to the dopamine hits of being seen. And once you're addicted to visibility, invisibility feels like death. That's where Ayesha has been living, in a space where silence feels like drowning. Fans first noticed the dramatic weight drop around 2024. Photos surfaced showing her thinner than she had ever been. Not toned, not athletic, but fragile. Sharp shoulders, visible ribs, the kind of skinny that doesn't look like health, the kind that looks like someone trying to disappear while also trying to be noticed. And immediately, fans were worried. She looks stressed. She looks unhappy. She looks like she's fading. But Ayesha framed it as discipline and health, which is what everyone says when what they're really losing is control. Drastic weight loss is often psychological, not physical. When someone feels powerless in life, controlling their body becomes the only thing they can control. It's an emotional coping mechanism disguised as a glow-up. Her body transformation wasn't about beauty. It was about reclaiming the autonomy she never got to have. And then came the outfits. The modest wife who once lectured the world about covering up suddenly reappeared half naked on Instagram. Crop tops, lingerie-adjacent tops, thin straps, underboob, hip bones out, posing like a woman reinventing herself for a male gaze she once claimed she didn't need. The modesty tweet from years ago made her look hypocritical, but again, people misunderstood the psychology. Back then, she wasn't secure. She was scared. Now she's not confident. She's compensating. It's not liberation when you're doing it to fill a void. It's not empowerment when it's rooted in pain. It's not self-love when the mirror is your enemy. This isn't a woman who finally feels sexy. This is a woman who finally feels seen. And she's terrified of losing that feeling. During a recent podcast appearance, Ayesha admitted, I didn't want marriage. I didn't want kids. I thought I was going to be the career girl. That wasn't just honesty. That was resentment talking. Not toward Steph, not toward her kids, but toward the version of herself she never got to become. She's grieving the life she abandoned. Women talk all the time about losing themselves after marriage and motherhood. But when your husband is one of the most famous athletes in the world, losing yourself isn't a side effect. It's a guarantee. She became a supporting character in the story she thought she'd star in. And now, at 35, when most women are stepping into self-assured confidence, Ayesha is scrambling to build the identity she never got to complete. That scramble looks glamorous on the outside, but it feels like chaos on the inside. Her recent posts don't give confidence. They give desperation. Desperation for relevance. Desperation for validation. Desperation to reclaim the girl she left behind. Desperation not to disappear behind Steph's spotlight. People aren't reacting to her glow-up. They're reacting to the instability behind the glow. The captions sound like someone trying to convince themselves they're okay. The poses look like someone trying to feel desirable again. The comments section looks like people trying to figure out whether she's empowered or unraveling. Because you can dress up a void, but you can't hide one. Ayesha is going through what psychologists call delayed identity development. Here's how it works. If you never fully formed a sense of self in your 20s, your brain will try to complete that mission in your 30s. But the problem is, you're older. You're responsible for more. You have less freedom. And you're trying to grow through old wounds, not fresh beginnings. So the identity formation becomes chaotic instead of organic. That's where Ayesha is, not reinventing herself, but catching up to the version of herself she didn't get the chance to be. That's why her transformation feels frantic. She's trying to find herself, all at once, at the speed of the internet. And baby, that is not how identity works. Steph Curry is universally loved, not liked, loved. Clean image, family man, Hall of Famer, Christian dad, role model, one of the greatest basketball players to ever do it. And when your husband is that beloved, you can't have a crisis publicly. But Ayesha is having one anyway. She can't outshine him. She can't compete with him. She can't redefine him. She can't set boundaries around his fame. She can only respond. And right now, she's responding with self-destruction disguised as self-expression. Steph's fame didn't break her. It erased her. Slowly, quietly, consistently. And now she's fighting to rewrite herself before the world finishes defining her for good. Here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. Ayesha isn't spiraling because she wants attention. She's spiraling because she lost herself long before she ever asked for it. Her glow-up is a symptom, not a solution. Her new confidence is a mask, not a breakthrough. Her Instagram rebrand is a coping mechanism, not empowerment. Psychologists say when a woman relies on the outside world to define her worth, she becomes addicted to validation, the way a person becomes addicted to praise. And once you're addicted to being seen, you'll do anything not to feel invisible. But that kind of validation, it evaporates fast. And the crash after the high, it hits harder every time. Absolutely, but only if she stops trying to find herself online and starts finding herself internally. Because no! Weight loss, new clothes, new friends, new persona, new attention, new photo shoots will fix the identity she abandoned. A woman who doesn't know her worth will always chase mirrors that lie to her. A woman who doesn't heal her wounds will always glamorize the versions of herself that never existed. And Ayesha Curry? She is standing right at that crossroads. Stay in the spiral, or finally build the self she has postponed for over a decade. Because here's the truth. Self-love isn't loud. It isn't sexy. It isn't a photo shoot. Self-love is quiet. It's still. It's internal. It's choosing yourself even when nobody's watching. And until Ayesha learns that, she will keep searching for validation in places that were never meant to hold her. The glow is not concerning. The emptiness behind it is. Guys, we're not watching a woman lose her mind. We're watching a woman trying desperately to find it. And that is the saddest and most human part of this entire story. Because at the end of the day, all the Instagram photos, weight loss, new clothes, new attitudes, and new identities in the world won't save you if the person in the mirror still feels like a stranger. Ayesha isn't broken. She's searching. And maybe, just maybe, this is the moment she finally figures out who she really is when the world stops telling her who she's supposed to be. Until then, all we can do is watch the transformation unfold, for better or worse. And as always, peace out, Seshers.